Hello, my name is BK Smooth, and I chose to research the end of the Cold War. The Cold War was merely a period of tension and subdued hostility between the US and the USSR from 1947, the end of World War II, to 1991. Despite what popular media may say about Ronald Reagan and the US having won or claiming victory over the USSR is overstated, Ronald Reagan and the US should not be credited with the end of the Cold War because of Gorbachev's interests, the swindling of Russian mines, and the economic collapse of the Soviet Union. Did you know that the Cold War roughly costing $8 trillion for the US, it could have funded the Iraq War for another 80 years at $8 billion per month? The Soviet Union did not collapse due to external pressures. Gorbachev ended communist rule for the Soviet's own interest. Perestroika, meaning restructuring, was one of Gorbachev's key attempts at reform. Gorbachev, hoping to make the Soviet economy more competitive with markets globally, allow some private ownership in industry and agriculture, eliminate corruption, and reduce military spending for consumer products, all did not go as planned. Too little, too late. The Soviet economy is ruined and beyond repair. Russians and people all around the globe were tricked into believing that the US had claimed victory over USSR and that Reagan was the prime reason the Cold War had ended with the Soviet Union. With the collapse of the Soviet Union, the US took it as a military victory, which in result led to a spirit of success and an omnipotent feeling as the sole superpower. It was quite interesting to read that Reagan never in fact even claimed to have won the Cold War, but he would truly present himself outside speaking about the end of the Cold War in a completely different way. The economic collapse of the Soviet Union was due to dissipating worker discipline, alcoholism, and the waste of investment ultimately would destroy itself before the US could even get to them. As the arms race roared on, they built up an army which cost 33% of the Soviet Union's gross national product, which limited them from spending money on rebuilding broken areas of the USSR. Workers began resenting Communist Party officials because of their rich and elaborate lifestyles, which was clearly against communist ideals. Laborers with no reward system where more work would equal more privileges had little to no motivation to work harder and more efficient. The Cold War had a huge impact on the nations involved and all the people involved. As a nuclear war could spark at any moment, it was a fearful, cautious, and dangerous environment to live in. The Cold War has brought us stockpiles of nuclear weapons in which we are still trying to figure out how to manage. We can see today the long-lasting effect, giving Americans an exaggerated sense of our own supremacy. Many advancements in technology such as LCD screens were the cause of the Cold War. The end of the Cold War was clearly not the result of Ronald Reagan or even the US's doing, but however by Gorbachev's interest, the swindling of Russian mines, and the economic collapse of the Soviet Union. Thank you.